Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be talking about an AVM, arteriovenous malformation. So you can have one in the brain, but for my son, he actually has it in his foot. I didn't know that you could get it in your foot, and I actually am a nurse that deal with AVM. So, but because I just completely work with, patients with AVMs in the brain. But when he was born, I noticed that his toes, there was the two toes that was just discolored. It was a little bit bruised looking. And I just thought that was just him at first. I know when I was pregnant and during my C-section, we had an emergency C-section. We had a situation in the operating room where they actually had to call basically like a rapid response in the operating room. So later on, I found out that he was actually lodged and stuck, and so I thought part of it was also his foot that was stuck. I had brought that to the pediatrician's attention multiple times. All the way up in 6 months, it looked normal, other than it was just a little bit discolored, just looked like it was bruised. And the whole time they said that it was nothing, that it was normal. And then I noticed that as he got older, it started to become a little disfigured looking. And it just started to bulge. And after a year and a half, I kept saying something to the pediatrician, and they still didn't think anything was really wrong, until he started complaining, saying that it was hurting. So I finally got another opinion from another pediatrician in the same office, and she actually went ahead and put a consult with the orthopedic physician, and they ended up telling me that it was an AVM, an arteriovenous malformation. So we decided to hold off on any procedure because he was so young and it didn't bother him. He learned to walk at 9.5 months. So he was actually quick on the learning on walking, and it didn't bother him from running, jumping, any activity that he didn't bother him. At about 3 years old, he started complaining a bit more, where it was a little bit more, I guess, irritated from him being so active. He's a typical boy. He runs so much and jumps a lot, so that would really interfere with him later, because then he would say that it was sore, and then when you looked at it, it would actually be a little bit harder than soft to touch. And I'm going to post a video on his AVM so you can see it in some pictures. So, and then it would, I would elevate it some, and then by the next day it would be down from the swelling, and he would say that it was fine. So, we just waited as long as we could, because I want to push it as far as I can until he's a little bit older. Then the pandemic happened, and I was a little bit skeptical about taking him in for a scheduled procedure during that time, especially when we really don't know what's going on, and if it can be on hold, might as well hold it, But he started complaining again recently, where he was actually kind of walking on the side of his foot. So I decided to go ahead and move forward. So we ended up having an x-ray last year. There's no bone involvement with it, no issues with cartilage or anything like that. So next week we will get an ultrasound, and then we'll probably move forward and do something in IR, which is interventional radiology. Maxwell, scoot back. Sorry, I'm actually trying to do his hair now. So it's pretty common, which I did not know. Talking to some of the neurosurgeons I talked to that don't deal with AVMs in the foot, but in the brain, I kind of got their little perspective of what they may know about it, and they said that it's pretty normal, and sometimes kids outgrow it, and that's probably one of the reasons why I try to hold off as long as I could, because I was hoping that he could maybe outgrow it, or that maybe it'll get better, but instead it got worse, and then also to hold off until he's older. So we will be moving forward and I will learn what to expect, what kind of procedure we're going to end up doing. But right now we're going to do an ultrasound. They initially want to do an MRI and MRA, but I asked them if there's anything else we could do instead of doing the MRI and MRA, if we could do an ultrasound, just because, you know, he will have to be sedated for that. He is a little, you know, he's about to be 4. He's 3 years old right now, and you know, a 3-year-old's not going to sit still for a 30-minute minimum procedure, especially without his mom sitting right next to him. I don't think they will let me sit right next to him. I'm not sure, but you know, so they would have to sedate him and stuff, and also getting IV and everything. You know, and he's already a hard stick. He ended up having to be in the emergency room and having to be admitted for some issues 2 years ago on New Year's night. So, you know, he's already a hard stick. So just to avoid anything, if there was an extra imaging that we could do, I asked if we could do an ultrasound, if that would be enough, and they said yes. So not only is it almost a $4,000, well, it's about $3,500 difference, you know, they said that they could actually get enough a result that could help determine what kind of procedure they would have to do and what needed to be done. And so I'm okay with that. And then I will keep, you know, adding on to this video. So for those moms and dads that have the same problem, you know, at least we can learn from each other, because when I looked at some videos or YouTube and looking it up, I didn't really get much info. So I will post some videos. All right, so this is his foot. It's his left foot. So I'm gonna kind of turn around. Come on, man. So at first, initially when he was a baby, his feet, the toes actually looked completely normal. It was just like this color, this bluish light tint color, and that was it. Up until maybe it started kind of looking a little bit deformed. It started kind of doing this little arch, but it was very minimum at the time. And as he got older and older, like this bulge is literally came within a couple of months. This one too. This one he lived with for a while, but he's so active that like now it's kind of hard, but normally it's softer. So I can tell when it really bothers him. Like this part right here is kind of new too. And then I noticed on the bottom of his foot, right here, he has a little bumpy area. And that's probably from his vessels too, right here. They're all bulged out. And it's a little bit bluish tint too. And you can see the tint right there on his foot. Sorry, he was just out. We were just out, and what is it? He just had his slides on. And that's the main problem, is his feet is 2 different sizes. So with shoes, you know, buying shoes has been a problem, because this size, you know, the width is much larger than this foot. If you see it side by side, yeah. So the shoes on this foot will always be so much tighter, and then it'll make it even more flared up. So we always try to get a little bit bigger size. And then so obviously the shoes on the right would be so much bigger. But that's how that looks. My poor baby. And so it's a little bit more bulged out over here and then on the bottom. But hopefully when this is all fixed, it'll look normal. But I will definitely add on some new videos after the procedure and also update you on how the ultrasound goes. And whatever questions that I might think of that someone else may ask.